Hey guys, HuzzyGames bringing you another video and welcome to another challenge to spectate. And today we are going to be looking at Kha'Zix. So the reason for it, if you've been watching, the climb on my main account has been going better and we've moved more to the jungle recently. Because jungle just seems to be the role that you can make the biggest impact of. So if you trust yourself a little bit more than your teammates that you've been having recently, then go jungle. Like, you can make the impact. The reason why we're watching Kha'Zix is obviously because I'm getting back into the jungle. I'm just kind of thinking about what other champions I should be playing. And let's be honest, Kha'Zix is one of the top tier junglers right now. Like, he has been for a little while. He synergizes really well with some of the new items. You know, he can go multiple of them. It's not just Drakthar. You can go Eclipse Kha'Zix. So we're going to see how this guy does it. This is one of the best Kha'Zixes on EUS. This guy's currently Challenger. His name's Tanu. You can see the summon names up to the side here. But he's doing the standard trick, putting his first trinket of the game there, going back, buying red trinket. It's a pretty standard trick the junglers do nowadays, because red trinket's the best to know if, like, oh, am I standing on a ward before I gank this thing? But also having that little vision to see if a Lee Sin invades, you know, in the early game. So it's a good thing to do overall, if you're not wanting your yellow trinket at the beginning of the game, which you don't always need to have it. So blue buff start, not so surprising. Q start for Kha'Zix, having his bot lane help as well. Thresh not using an ability, so maybe he's gone E level 1. He has. So E level 1 for Thresh, that's why he hasn't used a hook or anything like that. Kha'Zix bringing it over as soon as he can, and yeah, Kha'Zix is one of the champs. There are some junglers out there that don't do Gromp, they'll do Wolves instead. Kha'Zix is pretty good at clearing. His Q obviously does more damage in isolation. Specifically, so it does 74 damage base, but if it deals 155 double basic damage, near enough, to enemies that are isolated from their allies. So here, this won't do isolation damage because they're all grouped together, but he'll probably focus the little ones first and then move on to the big wolf. It's probably the fastest way of clearing it, because you can do that, use your W to finish them off, and then you've got isolation damage on the big wolf. So yeah, pretty good jungle clear as Kha'Zix for a assassin. Assassins are not known for their jungle clearing most of the time. It would be interesting to me if he does do the Wraiths. Meanwhile, bot lane Thresh does get a kill. Wouldn't be surprised if he ignores them. Like, Wraiths is maybe the hardest one for Kha'Zix to kill. And Krugs, those are the two ones that I don't think he loves doing. He'll still obviously kill them, but it just takes him a bit longer. But yeah, red buff going to go down. Level 3, third of the way already to level 4, is now looking for a gank up in the top lane. Camille versus Jace. Camille can do okay in this matchup, and there, red trinket, see a Lee Sin in the bush. They're having a bit of a fight again in the early game. Kha'Zix Lee Sin. Lee Sin might have a tiny advantage in the actual fighting in the early game, as he should. Lee Sin is more scaled to the early game, but as the game goes on, Kha'Zix will get more and more advantage than Elite. So in this situation, you want your team to back you up. So there's a scuttle happening. Diana, you'd like her to come up. If Lee Sin is doing this, then at least you have mid pressure. Lee Sin must be in this general area if I had to guess. Syndra's trying to block out the Diana. Jace is going back. Pretty bad time for him to go back. And yes, Lee Sin was just waiting in this bush, by the way. So Diana looking for an engage. She's forcing them away because Thresh is now here. Kha'Zix going for a bit of an engage. Maybe a bit too much. Rel is in the area. Flash by Kha'Zix. Lovely flay by Thresh. Goes to the hook. Doesn't land it in the end. They're going to kill the Rel, though, because she's just died. And now she's dead again. Jace, by the way, in all of that, teleported in. So this is, by the way, this shows you guys how big these scuttles still are. That whole situation happened because of Scuttle Crab. This shows you that, you know, the jungle nerf that they just didn't do anything. Like, all it's done is make the experience that junglers can get even more important. Because there will be literally one jungler gets ahead, one jungler gets behind. So you can see now Ezreal is helping the Lee Sin, and now everybody is moving, even the mid laners coming over to the scuttle. That's how important it is to get a jungle XP ahead, because the other jungler just gets screwed. It's that simple. So for Riot actually to fix like the jungle problem, they need to fix the dynamic between one jungler gets ahead, one jungler gets behind, and that's it. They used to have that fix, by the way. Riot got rid of that fix at the beginning, I think, of pre-season. If you're wondering what it was, there used to be catch-up XP. There was an actual mechanic that if one jungler is a lot ahead of the other one, the jungler that's behind gets bonus XP. And obviously, some people may look at that and kind of go, isn't that kind of like an anti-skill mechanic? That like, oh, one jungler deserves to be ahead. Yes and no. Like, in this game, this has been red team so far working a little bit more together, and they got both skulls. They denied the Lee Sin both skulls. It wasn't really the Lee Sin's fault that his team weren't in position. Like, the Camille didn't teleport mid like the Jace did for the first one, right? So as a jungler individually, it sometimes isn't you that's actually not helping your own XP, if that makes sense. Meanwhile, the enemy team actually getting a couple kills there, or 1 or 2. Diana roams the top lane. Camille doesn't die or anything, but bot lane, they do get the Ashe. So again, Rel is starting to grow in popularity. I actually thought the champion was pretty good. We played her at the beginning of the season on my main account when we were just beginning the climb, and I was like, damn, this champ's good, and she's just kind of gaining more and more popularity. But yeah, that to me is the only true fix that what Riot can do, and I've been thinking about this a lot, by the way, because especially that I've been playing more jungle, the biggest fix to me is just bring back catch-up XP. Because again, when you have the neutral camps that one jungler's only getting often, then it is the case of one jungler every game is getting ahead, one jungler every game is getting behind, and that often or not is the reason that you win or lose the game. Every game, jungle shouldn't have that much power. No individual role should be, I'd say 80% of games decided is because, oh, my jungler did really well, he got the XP, he got the dragons, my jungler got behind, we lost. That's not a great dynamic for the whole League of Legends. So that to me is probably what Riot need to do. Rel engaging, if Rel's engaging on that, Lee Sin must have been right nearby. Maybe the Rel is over roaming, I would say. Luckily, she has an Ezreal who's a relatively safe AD carry, so you can see in bot lane, his farm isn't too far off the Ashes. But it's a bit weird that Rel just seems to have completely given up bot lane, so who knows. So continuing the farm is the Kha'Zix. You can see the Lee Sin is definitely staying with the Kha'Zix in farm right now. They both have been kind of ganking here or there, or been very focused on doing the neutral camp so far. Both will be hitting level 6 pretty soon. Obviously, both level 6 for both of the champions is really strong. Kha'Zix gets a lot more utility with it, with stealth, and he can kind of dip in and out of combat a lot better. And obviously, it gives him an evolution of whatever one he's going to do, and that's something that I'm interested in, to see what he evolves. But also Lee Sin, obviously, his bread and butter is really his kit. That enables Lee Sin to do so much more. It gives him obviously more damage for one, but it also gives utility too. So Kha'Zix, by the way, yes, he has evolved, I believe, his ultimate first, which a lot of people, I think, when they're new to Kha'Zix, I don't know if he actually has a buff that shows it, but a lot of people don't see why you evolve that on Kha'Zix. Again, a lot of the time with a champion like Kha'Zix, it's about not being damaged, and it enables him to get closer to do damage. You can't do that very easily, so having your extra ultimate, which again, it gives him more movement speed, it gives him more cast of it, like, it just helps him overall quite well. So the invisibility duration lasts 2 seconds and gains a second recast, I guess, is the evolved form. So it's more utility for Kha'Zix, which then by the same kind of work, it enables him to do more damage down the line. So Jace is in trouble. There was actually 3 people top lane, but the Lee Sin got there in time, so the Jace will go down. I think he was having a fight with the Camille. The Camille obviously used ultimate, and it just locked the Jace in too much. He even used flash, couldn't survive. So that's just unfortunate. That will also give the Scuttle Crab over to the Lee Sin. And yes, by the way, Rel is in mid lane. So the one thing that you've also always got to say, and I occasionally say this, when we're watching Challenger, the game is fundamentally different in some ways that aren't even about gameplay. It's not about logic. The reason being is in Challenger, there is only so many people in Challenger. A lot of these players will know each other and would have played with each other for years. And the reason why I mention that is every now and then you will have players, and by the way, I'm not 100% saying this is what happened this game, but it's just worth knowing. There are players that don't like each other or don't rate each other very highly. Like, this Rel might know this Ezreal and be like, oh, I'm not laning with this guy, I don't like him. And that's why she could be roaming so often. That's the weird thing of Challenger, it's practically maybe Grandmaster as well, but it's the only rating in the game that stuff like that can happen. Anyway, Engage coming through. Kha'Zix is going to go for a Pentakill play, or Pentabug play, gets himself a double kill, and I have no idea what the enemy team is doing. Using it straight away, going to go for a big push here, and that is 4-man top lane. But yeah, not really sure. The Rel seems a little bit desperate with how she's playing. The Syndra gets caught out as well, and they get the Rift. Obviously, the enemy team was moving over there to try and stop the Rift Herald. It was way too late, and obviously Camille now also is in trouble. Kha'Zix was tanking that. I don't think he actually meant to tank it as long as he did. But they will get the first, I think the first tower of the game. Yes, looks like it will eventually go down. With all the turret plates, etc. And yeah, not bad play so far. 10 minutes into the game. Bit of a slow start game, I'd say, for kills. You know, there's only been 8 kills in 10.5 minutes. But the build that the Kha'Zix is going for, so as I mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Kha'Zix is pretty versatile with the new items. He can go Drakthar, he can go Eclipse. This guy's going Prowler's Claw. So there's a bunch of different ways you can build the new Kha'Zix. You know, there are some champions, like Riot recently have said, like, you know, they're trying to make it that every champion has multiple different builds that they can go, multiple different mythics they can go. That is true that, you know, there might be an okay amount of versatility in some champions, but there are many champions that, like, you're just buying the same mythic every game. But Kha'Zix, yeah, he can buy quite a few, and all of them, they generally will give you kind of the same thing, slightly differently. Obviously, all of them are enabling you to do more damage in some degree. Like, arguably, if you go Drakthar, maybe you don't need to evolve your ultimate, but this guy's evolved his ultimate, so what he's valuing is positioning, right? So positioning, Prowler's Claw. So that's probably this guy's mentality, but if he doesn't care much about positioning, then maybe he'd want to go Eclipse. Maybe he wants more burst damage from the beginning of the fight. That would give that. So there's just different ways of doing things, which is always a good thing. So Kha'Zix looking aggressive. And by the way, like the way that it feels like right now is like the Rel feels like she's duo with the Syndra, which obviously can't officially happen because there's no duo queue in Master and above anymore. But it's weird how much the Rel is attaching to the Syndra. And again, who was going over here together, who got caught? The Rel and the Syndra. So, you know, once again, we said earlier, there are people that don't like each other in Challenger, that actively play differently when they have those people in their games. There are also, if you're friends with people who are also Challenger, you could just be in the same game. So Kha'Zix using Prowler's Claw. Honestly, like, that was a bit... I don't know, he didn't need to do that right then, but he nearly got the kill. Kha'Zix is still a little bit hungry for it, and that was ambitious. He's getting mass engaged on now. He's going to go down. Yes, he does. Arrow coming through, doesn't get the kill. Not really sure why Kha'Zix did that. That was, again, a bit desperate from the Kha'Zix. A bit too spicy, and that's sprung now the kills even in the game. Jace is in trouble. Lee Sin's ganking doesn't get anywhere close, though. Diana obviously having a decent roaming game today and gets the ultimate off, but nothing major from there. The hook misses from Thresh, and that will probably be the end of the play. Tower goes down in bot lane. And worth knowing, though, again, reminding people, you know, the Ashe was top lane a little while ago. This game has been pretty open with positioning. You know, I'd say Ezreal has mainly been bot lane this game, but Jace is back now in top lane with the Camille, who's got his Eclipse built, so he went for an all-in, I guess. The Rella's once again getting caught, so she is going to escape, though, with her W, and that will be the end of that. But you're pushing them away while Dragon has just spawned. So this is pretty good timing. Even if you don't get any kills, it's still a benefit. You're still getting the Dragon. And obviously that has generally been my playstyle of jungle recently. I'm a Dragon... I focus Dragons. Because again, I just think they're so strong. It's one thing that you're actively buffing your team with every single Dragon, but it's also buffing your team that the enemy team cannot get. So you're just opening up a gap in strength that simply the enemy team cannot catch up to. You know, Dragons to me can make the difference of, oh god, we have an early game team comp, let's get every single Dragon. It could close the gap of scaling, like especially if it's Infernal Dragons, where a lot of the time an early game comp will get outscaled due to percentage of ratios. Having 12% AD/AP ratio if you have 3 Infernal Dragons or whatever, that gives you a late game. Like, it's that different. That, you know, that's the difference. Right, so Kha'Zix is going to continue clearing. Lee Sin, by the way, is going to Eclipse. Kha'Zix, obviously, Prowlers. So high damage, obviously, both of them. I'd expect Lee Sin maybe to go more tanky than a Kha'Zix. but we'll see how it goes. I have heard that a lot of people don't rate the new or the current Black Cleaver very highly, so that's why you're not seeing it in many games. Rel, though, going top lane, did blow her ultimate, doesn't get anything because Jace used Flash. He is re-engaging, is looking for a bit of damage, I guess. Rel is in trouble, by the way. Pentabug is on his way. He jumps, he Prowler Claws. Lee Sin is here to try and rescue. Nice, though, by the Kha'Zix. And look how invisible he is. That is what the ultimate gives. They can't get him. And that's not even with a Drakthar. That's a bit questionable by the Syndra. She even flashed for that, by the way. And now she's going to get re-engaged and practically one-shot by a Kha'Zix. So that's gone well for red team, gone pretty bad for blue. But worth also noting, the Ezreal was nowhere near. Obviously, the Ashe helped the Kha'Zix survive. Kha'Zix is going to maybe continue chasing this. If he lands anything, the Ezreal will be close to death, but he also has to be careful himself. Thresh flashes over. Kha'Zix tries to jump but fails it. So yes, even challenger people will fail things every now and then. The Rel engaging again, and the Jace will go down to the Ezreal. Nice hook, though. Kha'Zix doesn't go for big damage. Surprising. Very low health is the Diana. They should completely back out. Don't risk anything major here, because if you risk it, that's a Rift Herald. And, you know, Rift Herald, even though, you know, Rift Herald can't make, I'd say, well, it can make a game-changing difference. I don't know if it would at this point in the game, but, yeah, the blue team still might do it, by the way. Lee Sin is in the area, but is maybe not focusing it, which I probably would. If I was this Lee, I would probably do Rift Herald right now, because it can just kind of help you swing some momentum back. Like, oh, let's take out the mid tower with Rift Herald or something. That's a positive for your team. Anyway, Kha'Zix getting his slightly magical footwear. I'll go over his runes in a second, so obviously he's running that. But Serrated Dirk pickaxe. But his runes, by the way, Dark Harvest, so not running Electrocute, running Dark Harvest this game. More burst, I guess. Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection, Ravenous Hunter. Again, Ravenous, I'm going to be completely honest, is broken. It gives, what, 12% Omnivamp? Omnivamp is potentially broken anyway, but just giving it to you like that much in your runes, I just think it's silly. Kha'Zix going for an all-in. He does go down because of the stun, but he gets the kill. And yeah, just straight up diving. I guess his intention there was dive, use Thresh Lantern to get out, but he got stunned too much. But yeah, Ravenous Hunter's just silly. And when he respawns, we'll look at the rest of his runes. Ashe versus Ezreal in a straight-up DPS war, which that practically was. Ashe is going to win that. Ashe does more DPS than an Ezreal when they're both standing still and auto-attacking. Engaged by Diana, gets the ultimate off. Rel using her ultimate too. Lee Sin in the area, though. Jace doing a bit of damage. Is very low. Still not dead? Is not dead. What? He should be dead. And the enemy team will survive. So again, decent amount of survivability this game. People aren't dying all the time straight away. But that will be the end of that. A little engage. And Kha'Zix respawned, by the way, and has got magical footwear, cosmic insight, and adaptive armor. So that is what his runes are. Rel re-engaging, Kha'Zix on his way, Diana going to go for it. They do end up a lot dead. Prowler's Claw, and that's it. So again, he can use his jump. He's not always going to get to the combat, but his jump kind of just lets him get there, which sometimes can be the issue with assassins, is like you're not quite there. And it seems the Prowler's just giving that Kha'Zix the extra utility sometimes needed. So again, game's turning into kind of a fiesta somewhat. Kha'Zix returning to a bit more farm. He wants to probably get that level 11 because that gives his next evolution, which I presume he's going to evolve his Q next. That would be my prediction. Kha'Zix going to go for the Ezreal, though, right next to him. Look at the damage. Misses his W, though. That can make the big difference. Lee Sin protecting. And Kha'Zix is, you know, weaving in and out. He doesn't get the red, but it was close. Did Ashe get it? Ashe got the red. Neither jungler got it. Ashe got it. Now the Ashe is continuing, and boom, the Ezreal's dead. And worth knowing, the dragon is now coming up. So the enemy team has had really, really unfortunate deaths this game, of they dying just before the dragon. That's not what you want. Red team should pull the dragon away. It gives Lee Sin less of a chance to steal it, but Thresh is kind of mucking that up for his team, but they are noticing that the blue team is backing away, so they did it. They kind of went, screw that, we'll just go for it anyway. So 3 dragons for Kha'Zix. They're relatively quickly whenever they've spawned. You can see the priority of the dragons that this Kha'Zix is doing. And right now there's a 1 level difference. Whoa, he maxed W second. Okay, so he's not even maxing Q. Oh, okay. So he evolved ultimate R, then evolved W, which again gives more AoE slows and that, and hasn't gone for his Q. Okay, again, this is why I'm watching a Kha'Zix, is to kind of see this. And it is worth knowing, this might not be the staple thing that Kha'Zix does every game. He's doing this with this specific item build in this way. If you went Eclipse, then maybe you would want to evolve your Q. So there are probably a little bit intricacies to Kha'Zix that are different depending the playstyle and build. So that is worth knowing. So a bit more clearing of the jungle. You know, his Q, by the way, still does quite a lot of damage. Like, the Isolation Evolve is what? Gain ability range. Yeah, gain ability range, attack range, and lowers the cooldown by 45 against isolated targets. So it actually doesn't give more damage to it. It just makes it less cooldown, and you can hit it from a longer distance. So it's not actually giving you more damage if you evolve your Q, technically. You can just Q more often and from higher range. But this Kha'Zix, maybe he doesn't need to evolve his Q because he's prioritizing, you know, utility. Of he's got Prowlers to get on top of people. He's then gone Yumus for movement speed to get on top of people. So he doesn't need the extra range from evolving Q. So that's probably why. So again, it all makes sense. You've just sometimes got to actually look into why. All right, Ashe. May was looking to get engaged on. Diana getting heavily engaged on. Enemy team, I'd say this is a desperation play. They're in trouble because the Diana is still not dead yet. Rel going all in. Ashe is having free DPS. We'll have a little look what happened in a second. We'll just watch the fight. Camille is not alive. Kha'Zix does go down, but before... So, red team get owned a little bit hard there. Kha'Zix, though, what does he do? Prowler's Claw onto the Lee Sin. Over half health in one combo. Does get stunned by the Syndra. He will then take a bit more of a fight. Syndra, by the way, with Everfrost. That is growing, by the way, the item. The reason why Everfrost is going, for those that are wondering... It was always like, it always sucked when they released new items. There was no reason having Everfrost over Liandry's or whatever. The reason why you're seeing more people do it is because that item has just been buffed and buffed and buffed and buffed. So it's inevitable that when you just keep buffing something, it is going to have a decent amount of strength. So that's why you're seeing Everfrost becoming a little bit more around and popular. And obviously in this game, the Syndra is against a relatively melee-focused opponent, Diana, and also a Kha'Zix. So having that melee stun, the Frost stun, that's obviously going to help you somewhat against an assassin that is Diana or a Kha'Zix or something, if you manage to land it. So there's also that reasoning too. But Kha'Zix has, by the way, got a Rift Herald, so he needs to use that soon. Item build, he obviously has gone plated, which I'd say both are good and bad. But a lot of the time that this Kha'Zix has died has been to the stun duration. That he died under the tower to the Syndra. He died there because he got stunned. So arguably Mercs might have been better for him. But, you know, plated is not bad, obviously. Maybe he's seeing Lee Sin and Ezra as a bigger threat. Or Camille, I guess. But I don't know. I just think Mercs so far this game may have been a bigger shout. But anyway, he's looking maybe for a kill on Camille, which I don't know if he can even beat this. Camille is still incredibly strong as a champion. Maybe if she walks directly into him and he gets some free damage, he's going for it. So he's got a bit of health from her already, and Camille, you can see the damage return from Camille isn't bad. He does just get the Camille. But honestly, if Camille had more confidence to fight that straight away, I actually think it would have been a much closer fight. She just focused on running and taking free damage from the beginning of the fight. Rift Herald being procced though by Kha'Zix, he's going to walk on over to the jungle and kind of just protect it a little bit. What red team will be looking for is the free tier 2. They want to make it charge once on here though. They don't want to waste it. They want at least one charge here. Enemy team though, Syndra gets caught. Straight up caught by the Kha'Zix. She will go down. And yes, now they get the extra charge with the momentum of killing the Syndra. They can break into the base. And yeah, the whole momentum, like I said earlier, Rift Herald can make a big play. And there you go. It's just got an inhib. It's also going to get one more charge. Anyway, Rel engaging. Does get like a 4-5-man ultimate, but it's just there's no backup. There's no... there's nothing that engaged with the enemy team. Thresh Hook into the stun. And yes, by the way, Everfrost for Diana as well. Diana going for it, and Kha'Zix will pick up the Camille, and the Kha'Zix will finish 11-3-3. So this was much more, I would say, of a utility-centric Kha'Zix, about making sure he actually can land damage by going more utility-based with Prowler's Claw. Look at that damage. And then also evolving W second is making sure he can do damage with his W rockets. So it's a different playstyle of Kha'Zix than some, but very effective. Really good. Good damage mid to late game. And yeah, I might try to replicate that over the next couple days. If you guys enjoyed though, please do throw a like on it. Let me know what you think down below. A lot of people are in the camp that they actually think Kha'Zix is too strong. Let me know what you think about that too. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.